Hello, all. My name is Erta the Wanderer, and I've come out of the jungle today to talk with one of our most esteemed generals, the Great Lizard Wizard. How are we doing today, Wizard?
Great. How are you?
Uh, mixed in general. We've got a lot of great new news for people who aren't Seraphon, some
Uh-huh.
unfortunate news for people who are Seraphon, and a bunch of confusing changes.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
and after that, I think we're going to deal with a bit of stargazing. We'll see how it goes. Alrighty, so what do you want to handle first? The crazy FAQ?
No, all the pretty new stuff. The new
Okay.
vampires.
Oh, so much cool stuff. They finally replaced the oldest kit in the entire game. Zombies aren't the horrid zombies anymore where you can see the
Okay.
ball joints.
So, yes, old zombie kits needed love, but what was way worse were the frickin' fell bats.
Oh, I
Like,
know. I love
those
felt.
models were hideous.
Oh, they were. And the new ones are just great. I've been arguing in their behalf on Lustria because
Oh, I love them. Yeah.
yeah, because Fellbats, because they're so cheap, were actually really good
Yes.
in Legions of Nagash, or well, comparatively to the rest of Legions of Nagash, but they
Yeah,
were
and either
ugly
Legion
as
of Night or
sin.
Blood.
Yeah, they were ugly as sin. So
Yeah. They were that old monopose metal model.
they were still pewter.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
they
They
were
were still
failed
pewter.
cast. Oh, that's even worse.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's like that's the kit that am most excited about getting the
Yep.
update. Like the
Blood
zombies are cool. Glad they got it. They needed it.
Blood
Fellbats
Knights
made it
are
even more.
awesome now that they're no longer resin. They're probably still going to be horribly expensive, but Blood Knights were also always awesome.
Yeah, but I imagine they're not going to be $20 a night.
I
Like I
don't
don't know. Maybe they
know.
will,
This
but
is Games Workshop.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but oh, they're so cool. I'm not as big of a fan as the heroes because I think that the one with the mask's hair looks ridiculous and doofy.
So I like that they've gone more with a visceral Nostradamus type vampire,
Right.
like where you're gaunt, like you can see her hip bones. She looks
She looks
emaciated. She's got
desiccated.
those forward fangs. Yeah, I like that. That makes me really happy. And the new Blood Knights echo that sort of motif. I like that their blades are corroded, that it looks like they're from an ancient empire.
Well, because
Uh,
they are. Most of these vampires are still alive from the fantasy battle.
exactly, yes.
So
So I
they've
love
been
that.
around
It
for
tells
a
the narrative.
long time.
Yep.
But yeah, the hair is doofy, and I wish it wasn't.
Yeah, I can respect that. It's definitely like uh the like horror fantasy gothic genre. Like it's a bit over exaggerated.
Hmm. But yeah, the
But
mask
I
is
love them.
cool. The
Like
rest
they're
is
cool.
cool. In general, I'm excited that Legions of Nagash, who is one of the big, not very cared about factions as far as GW is concerned,
Yep.
is getting love. It gives hope for Skaven and Lizardmen players that we might not always be abandoned.
Yeah. Well, and like Vampires still has a pretty decent following. Like if they had more than 6 kit to their range, they'd probably make a decent amount off of it.
Yep, and that's probably what's going on here. I'm hoping their rules are kind of like their Blood Bowl rules, where the vampires are powerful but kind of go crazy if they don't have serfs to eat.
Hmm. Yeah, or a bit more like fantasy, where like all their constructs start to crumble when a vampire's not near them. Like, here's my vampire. He cost 82 points, but he's surrounded by a bajillion 2-point zombies. Like that sort of feel. Like if they can bring that back,
Yeah,
um, that would be great. Like I want the vampires to be Hero Hammer. Like make them an absolute terror. Uh,
one can hope. But yeah, there is a whole bunch of news with Lumineth, but we're going to deal with that when it comes to the Broken Realms book when it finally drops.
yeah, yeah.
We,
The new kangaroo archers, like I hadn't seen the bow version of them.
mhm.
Those are sweet.
Yeah, a lot of great models.
And the Sun Wukong model, like the mage on the cloud,
It looks
that's
cool.
also great.
Yep. elves still get the love that they always have.
Uh-huh, yep. And now we just have more varieties of them. Mountain elves, wood elves, sea elves, blood elves.
Dark elves, shadow elves, so many elves.
Yep, all
Space
the elves.
elves. But, okay, so I think that covers everything as far as new.
Uh-huh.
But we did have an FAQ, which does change a few things. Daughters of
Yes.
Cain can't just shotgun prayers all over the place, which a bit unfortunate, but who
I think
knows?
it's good.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I mean,
not
I'm a doc player. Of course, I'm going to be annoyed when they take away something cool. But yes, it's
yeah.
probably for the best.
Mostly I just didn't like it for the same reason that I thought Corrin needed theirs nerfed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the fact that they can shoot off multiples, it's the redundancy. Like being able to have all your priests attempt that same
Oh,
3+
that wasn't
prayer.
a thing in the first place. They had the rule of one apply to their
Oh,
spells,
okay.
prayers.
Gotcha.
I
I had
don't
missed
know
that.
if they still do. They said change the. Uh, yeah, no, it's still they still suffer from the rule of one, but now they can't all do all their prayers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bit of an it's a bit of a feel bad, but it's probably for the best. Things that are less solid, like yeah, they have a whole bunch of word tightening up, but then they have the confusing crap.
Yeah.
Specifically, we were talking about this before we started recording. Hagnar's ward save isn't a ward save.
Yeah, it's only against wounds if you're Hagnar, apparently, for the 5+ or
Yeah,
making it a 5+. That
but
is bizarre.
but does it? But it doesn't clarify whether 6+ remains effective
For
against
mortal
mortal
wounds?
wounds because the base ability, Fanatic Faith, is a full ward save. It does apply to mortal wounds, but the
Yep.
bonus. Does this mean that they have two? That they get a 5++ and a 6+++? Does this
Well,
mean
so
that it just stops applying to mortal wounds? I don't know, and it's so strange.
if it is a then it's a problem because the rule of one was FAQ'd um, with the last GHB to not be ongoing. Like you get to pick which save you get and take it. So if it's an additional ward save, then it's literally useless because it doesn't affect match play.
Right. It's a bad designer's commentary because it just makes things more confusing.
Yes.
And it looks like they just didn't think it through.
Yep.
So we're gonna have to wait until they FAQ that, and until then, I'm just gonna treat it like it used to be because the prayer that applies to it mentions mortal wounds. The base ability mentions mortal wounds. It's just weird.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the thickly scaled skin. When people are like, does this affect mortal wounds generated from attacks? And they're like, nope. It feels like it was just a secondary thing where they're like, that sounds too good. Let's say no. Like, it doesn't feel like it's actually based off the rules.
Yeah, it's weird and dumb. Let's see. They also addressed Hedonites. They added Blissbar Bow to their Underworld's Warband because it wasn't
Yep.
on the War Scroll.
Yep.
They added an ability to Godseekers with +1 to charge, which is solid, and it's what you expect from Seekers.
Yes.
They clarified Celesky's ability.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Straightened all the language out for that.
yep. And anything else important?
Sons of Behemoth, the only change for them was that invocations of Cain also are affected by Longshanks. They just added invocation of Cain in. That's the only thing they changed.
Yeah, it's of course everyone was gonna assume that's how it was, except for pedantic assholes.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
if you're like nickel and diming a Sons of Behemoth player to get an edge, you're bad at the game and you should quit.
Yeah, you should not be losing, especially because you're playing Daughters of Cain.
Exactly, yeah. Like if you're like, no, you
Anything you
can't go
field.
over that. Like, nope.
Yeah,
Like they should just get an extra Mega Gargant. Like
it wouldn't
that.
help because every single one of your clouds can just delete one in one
Yeah,
turn.
but at least it would like make the game have another phase.
Maybe. I'm not even sure if that's true. Oh man.
uh,
The one thing that they didn't
uh,
do in the FAQ is they didn't fix Slangor.
yeah, they're still hot garbage.
Yep,
They're trash.
still the worst, like arguably the worst war scroll in all of AOS.
But they look no. There's Tomb King War Scrolls and Bretonian War Scrolls.
But those are fan made. And if we're talking about fan made stuff, we have to go
Oh
into my
no!
embarrassing past.
Those are official. Desert Legion is an official faction. It just
Wait,
doesn't have a
really?
battle tome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can play all the old, like you can still play goblins. Like you can use spear chuckas and yeah, but no
I
one
thought they
does
relegated
because they're
that to
crap.
Legends.
No, it is still active. It's just bad.
Oh wow.
Like it uses those old war scrolls. So those are the worst ones. But Slangor's just above them.
Yeah. That said, when someone saw Slangors and everyone was saying this is the worst war scroll ever, someone at GW said hold my beer, and then made our Underworld's warband.
Yeah,
It's not worse, so he failed, but he gave it his good fighting try.
yeah. He gave it the college try.
There's
It's
nothing about this war scroll that works.
yeah, it's all bad.
Not
Um,
a single thing.
so it's three separate units that you buy as one, which is
That are
frequently the case with a lot.
that are actually more expensive than they would be
Yes,
individually.
yes.
Uh,
It's 225 points
and
to
if you,
get.
and if you took each of these models and subdivided the ones that are units, it would be 218. So
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
not even cheaper.
Yep, it's more expensive. It doesn't because they're separate units. The priest doesn't even basically get a blade of wounds by having the other guys in his unit because it's still just him.
Mm-hmm.
They have individual saves. Like if the whole unit ended up getting a 4+ save because there's a Saurus in it, that would also be different.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like there's no redeeming factor to it. You don't even get cool old one tech, yet there's still specifically Thunder Lizard subfaction,
Yep.
which means that
Which
if you
means their bravery stays shit if you take them in Starborn, which
yes.
is all their abilities account for the fact that they don't get our standard abilities, and then they do it
Yep.
worse.
Yep. I think you might could make the argument that playing in Starborn, they would still get the Coalesce Scaly Skin rule because they're Thunder Lizard, but
Maybe
that,
it
that
wouldn't
that would
help.
be up to a TO. Exactly. Yeah. Like they're garbage.
Yeah,
There's no reason
the old
to play
blood
them.
has a
They should
worse
take.
save than he normally does.
Yes, and he doesn't have a command ability,
He doesn't have his command ability.
which is the whole reason you bring him.
Yeah,
You don't bring him because he's got a spear or warblade. You bring him for his command ability.
yep. And so and he buffs bravery to 9. No, to 8 instead of 10. So like I said, it just makes up for the fact that they don't get teleports. They have the deep strike ability, but again, it makes up for they don't get teleports.
Deep strike ability is literally only on the chameleon skink and the priest. It's not even the whole unit that gets it.
Yeah, I mean, you
Like
wouldn't
it's.
want to deep strike anyone else. Yeah,
I mean, if they counted as a blade of wounds, I would.
agreed. But the diviner, one, he's got this awesome, flavorful
Thermal detonator.
thermal detonator that has no rolls, none.
Yeah, 0.
And he's a normal skink priest, not even a star priest, which would
He
still be
does have
shit.
one
But
more wound than a normal priest
oh,
though. He
fancy.
has 5 with a 5+
I
save.
guess that's
So
why the old
4
blood gets
with a
one
5+
gets a
save.
4 up save instead of a 3 up. Oh lord, this thing's awful. His Starstone staff, I believe, does a slightly more damage, but I'm not even gonna check
No,
because
it's
it's
identical.
oh
It's 18
it's
inch
identical.
range. 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, rend 1 damage.
Okay, so his only special ability is he's able to freely apply his normal buffs to a 4 unit
skink unit.
bodyguard that all have different weapons.
Yep.
So it's not it. Oh man,
Yeah,
I,
it's bad.
nothing about this works.
Yep.
Like the chameleon doesn't get his standard hide and cover, gets a better save.
Yep.
The the skinks don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
at
it's
least
real bad.
everything in the band has a 5-up save as long as you don't kill the shield guys first. But the shield guys are the ones that aren't useful because you gave them a javelin and a dagger.
Yep. Yep.
Oh
And
man.
it's not even like this is an elite skink with a blowgun or an elite skink with a javelin. It's literally the same war profile from their standard war scroll,
which
but
is
put on them.
which is standard, but there's nothing special about this. At least with the Daughters of Cain one, who is pretty much the same thing, she's cheaper, and they
Yes.
count as a blade of wounds.
Yes. Yeah. What I mean, in all fairness, while we're complaining about this, Seraphon doesn't need any love. Like, we're a perfectly
Agreed, but this
strong
all
army.
yeah, but neither does Daughters of Cain or
But
Luminous
these are
Realm
the only
Lords
new models we
or
got.
yeah, and I
We
was
got a
so
freaking Realm Shaper engine in this.
oh, it's so mm. This is why I say that GW doesn't care about us, is everything they do for us seems so half-assed. And the last thing that was going to save this warband for me, because I think the skinks are kind of dumb looking, was the rules. So there's nothing I want here.
Oh, I bought two.
Well, good. You bought the one for me because I was torn because I want to support new Seraphon models, but I can't if you make them awful.
So I bought them because, like, I'm just gonna use them. Like, I'm gonna use one of them as my chief on a Stegodon. Like, I'm just gonna use the cool new models.
Yeah,
And then I want one to play with as a warband in case I start playing Underworlds again.
yeah, it's just so disappointing.
Yeah, they're garbage.
I've
Like,
I've
I
made
would
myself
pay
sad.
225 points if he had the priest prayer, but was also still a star priest. Like,
Yes,
if he was a star
if he was
priest
both, that'd be good.
with Herald of the Old Ones and with the staff ability on a 3+, then I would absolutely pay 225 points for the unit.
Hmm.
Um,
It would be a discount instead of more. Why does
yeah,
it cost more?
yeah,
It's worse than the sums of its parts. How do
yes,
you do that?
yep.
I could.
It's bad.
Ah, man.
Like, they should have given the skinks the Starblood or Starblood stalkers. They should have given them the old wary fighter role.
That wouldn't be good, but it'd be something.
Yeah, like just anything to make me want to play with them.
Oh wow.
They're
Th-
pretty though.
yeah. Like most of the time, warbands are just useless, not bad.
I mean, there's some war bands that are pretty good. Like
Right, right. There, the KO one is pretty good. The Daughters of Cain one is pretty good. The Shadow Blades are
the
is pretty good.
the Slaves to Darkness one, not the Ravagers, but the other one, the
Yep.
like, yeah, because you get Enfeeble Foe, but a different spell, so you could make something with that and Bellicor, -2 to wound. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot
and
of
then
good
there's
stuff out
the Night
there.
Haunt one. That one's pretty good. That also has a -1 to wound spell. Like, I was hoping it'd be a wizard and would get a new unique spell. Like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah. Or
But
at
it
least that they changed the names of the abilities so we could stack something. Or
yep,
I don't know. Oh, this is so disappointing.
yep.
Everything new we have is useless.
Yeah. I mean, at least the Saurus does look good, as does the
He looks
Priest and
like
Chameleon.
I'm not even sure I'm gonna agree with the source, but I think the Blood Bowl ones look better, and
Oh
that's what
yeah,
I.
no,
The
I
only
do
reason I
think the Blood
take him
ones look better.
is to make him a alpha of my unit, but I'm already using those guys, so it just makes it makes a worse looking alpha.
I mean, I would use him as a plastic Sunblood instead of having to use the resin one,
Oh, but
but
the Sunblood looks so
I
amazing.
love it. Yeah, no, and mine's already painted. But I know a lot of people just hate using resin.
Agreed.
Um,
This
so
almost
I
makes
could
me
see
glad they didn't put a Croxagore in here, because at least we didn't have to suffer the indignity of being this.
of being an ugly Croxagore.
Oh, man. An
They
ugly, useless
freaking
Croxagore.
nailed it with the chameleon skink though.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
weird. The main hero is amazing. The
yes, the here. Yep,
chameleon skank is amazing. The
yep,
rest are
garbage.
okay.
I like the javelin guy. Um,
Uh huh.
like he just looks so derpy happy that I'm with him. I'm like, yeah, man, get him. Uh, but the club and shield guy, like he looks like he ran into the guy in front of him.
Yeah. This is probably why they only showed off the chameleon skank for the longest time.
Yep,
Okay.
disappointing.
Well, we do what we can. Well, next off, we have been focusing far, far too much on the Age of Sigmar half of this game. We have spaceships, so let's take it to the Imperium.
Yeah,
Yep. We surprisingly, despite how painful it's been for most Horde armies transition to 40k, Seraphon do pretty well. Uh,
yeah, which is even more surprising because their tech is so old. Like
yeah,
blowpipes standing up against bolters. It doesn't seem like
you
it's
don't
massive.
see many feral world armies out there. Like Kroot are one of the only ones, but
Yep.
yeah, we do fine. Just well, let's be honest. We were always low tech, fighting things like cannons and artillery pieces.
Yeah, yeah,
But
it's old hat for us.
we still have some of the strongest psychers in the game in a great phase.
Yeah.
We actually do better in here because it's so hard to target our heroes.
Yeah, yeah. Getting that modified version of Lookout Sir, like that's so much better than the Lookout Sir we're used to competing with.
Granted, guards are even more useless in 40k than they are in AOS
Yeah,
because
that's true.
there's no reason to take them. But
And suffering from a lack of sniper abilities doesn't let us compete with other armies
but yeah,
as
but
well.
Croak does that on his own, so
That's true. That's true.
he's actually the best sniper in the game because he can just he it's essentially
Keep spamming.
he has psychic bolt on everything,
Yeah.
and deny the witch to the entire field is just so good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So many armies are so psychic phase dependent. Like
Yep.
Space Marines, it really hurts them that we can do that. Custodes, Eldar in general.
Yep. And it helps that he has that 4+ wards save after save. Like having that 4+ feel no
Yep.
pain means that even when he does encounter perils of the warp, he's got a good chance to shrug off that damage.
Mm-hmm. Which is great because he's going to be a key unit here. Another good
Yes.
thing is so few of our units have 2 wounds. We're all 1 wound models, which means that things like bolters won't carry over damage on us, and
Yep.
they lose a lot of damage when firing into skinks.
Yeah. Well, and it makes Coalesced particularly strong. Like all those 2 damage weapons, which are saturating the meta with like plasmas, eradicators, meltas.
Mm-hmm.
Like turning all of that to 1 is massive. It basically just says half your army damage.
Yeah, it wouldn't help with your foot troops because again, no carryover damage in 40k, but our monsters become not durable, but significantly more so. It gives Coalesced a reason.
Yes.
Plus cover rules. They can't take cover on our side of the field, which is
Yeah.
so good nowadays because -1 to hit is so painful.
Yep. Well, and 40K is all about the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you use the terrain matters so much more in 40K than it does in Sigmar. You got to be blocking line of sight. You got to be getting cover. Those bonuses are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah,
being able to
it
deny
just
that.
reminds me of Jurassic Park. This clever girl, we're coming out of the walls.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
Stepping on mid's feet. I like it.
mhm. That said, we do have a couple of significant problems. We don't have our strength and toughness might as well not exist, and again, we're using clubs to beat on power armor.
Yeah, we lack designated transport. Um,
Blast weapons are particularly affected against us.
yeah,
Every
they're
everything
just
we
yeah,
have is a horde, and so we suffer in the same way Tyranids suffer.
yeah, yep.
But
Uh, Although our Lords of Space and Time translates very well, like being not having being able to pick the unit back up and not committing them once they're down.
mhm.
Um, like we're sure you can put stuff into um, like deep strike, but once it's down, it's down. We can pick it back up and re-deep strike it,
Yep.
um, and that gives Starborn a huge edge.
Yeah, it's like every single one of our units is shoot. Who's that? The guard hero,
Oh
the
yeah,
Catachin
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name
shoot. That's gonna bother me all the time. I'll remember it in 5 minutes. And
though.
yeah, so
It's also great having some objectives secure. Like,
yeah,
sure, we're Horde, but being
that's
able to Lords of Space and Time, those objectives secure units
mhm.
multiple times throughout the game.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
nine
a
has
huge gain
become
against.
ninth edition has become far more of an objective game, and we like that because we're such a tempo army.
Yeah, especially like having a non-existent strength. Like we're not killing things. We're
Well,
winning on
we
objectives.
do a lot of true damage in this
That's true. Yeah,
army.
mortal wound.
Yeah, so much of our stuff is mortal wounds that, despite the fact that almost everything in the game is tankier than us, we don't have invulnerable saves. We don't have uh, all our heroes are more fragile than everything else, so we have to be hiding in our back lines.
Yep.
Despite all that,
And as an army, we don't have a whole lot of multi-damage weapons.
yep,
Like you've got the Skybows, you've got the Bastillodons, but for the
salamanders.
most, yep, Salamanders, Pterodon boulders, but for the most part, it's all single damage. Even the mortal wounds, a lot of it comes out in forms of single damage. So the damage not spilling over from model to model really doesn't have a huge impact for us.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah we aren't as cheap as some in 40k as we are in AOS. Like each skink is 6 points, but again, because we're a feral army, we don't have to pay for equipment changes. Like
Yeah, so it's just
it's not
basically like playing with power level.
right. You might as well just take them all because it's not like you're paying for a plasma gun. Instead, you're just taking a stick with a rock on the end.
Yep.
Yep. And but yeah, skinks are 6 points a model, which is up. Man, that's almost as much as a space marine,
Yeah, yeah, I know. I was
as a
expecting to be
tactical marine.
closer to like guard numbers.
Yeah, where they're 4 points for a guardsman or 3 points for a conscript.
Yep.
Yeah, it's surprising. I guess. I guess
You know,
that they saw as how well we were doing in AOS and wanted to be careful about that.
yeah, which is fair. In terms of flavor, it feels a bit like Gene Stiller cults. Like we're kind of that cagey army that messes with some deployment. We've got a couple scary things that can pop off and do a lot of damage,
Hmm.
but for the most part, like we're not an army that people shape the meta around. But we're good enough at contending with the meta that we're still going to steal some top tens.
Yeah, it's been a surprise that we even got to play in 40k. I know we've always had spaceships, but when they shifted us to 8th edition, it was really a shock.
Yeah, I had like I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, everybody
But I'm
wanted lizards in space. It's a great idea, and like I said, we have the ability to do so. We just didn't think that we'd do so. But I guess all demons are available in both games, so I guess it made sense.
yeah, yeah, like it was unexpected, but it feels apropos. Like it should have been this way from the beginning. Especially since like the Necrons and the old ones and all of that. Like we've always been in the background.
Right, but they finally confirmed that fan theory. That's actually pretty cool. GW doesn't often do that.
Yeah, a lot of times they just kind of ignore the cool stuff and then lose copyright to it and it disappears. And you're like, oh.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, let's see. What do like secondaries? What secondaries do you think we are particularly good with? I know bring it down is always going to be a problem for us. Tanks are remarkably durable, and unless you're focusing a lot of power on it, not the best thing.
Yeah,
First amongst many probably isn't a good one to take. We aren't durable enough to keep any particular unit alive, and we don't have we're remarkably close range on our range weapons.
take and hold might be
Might be our
mm,
best one because we have such good objective play.
yeah, exactly. Um Man, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like we want to make sure we're getting our max 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's definitely what the game is now. Uh but
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what secondaries I'm always going to be looking for. Um
Yeah. Probably taking hold. Assassination because Croak can get so close.
yep, that could work. Um we might be able to slay the warlord if I mean, not having snipers makes it rough, but with that much mortal wounds, like we still might be able to poke him down, sort of like the old um, smite build spam for Thousand Suns.
Mm-hmm. Smite. Such a fun ability. Yeah, unfortunately, our base one isn't as good, but it makes up for that. We have so many other options.
Yeah, engage on all fronts is definitely one of our easier ones to pull off.
Mm. Yeah, that is a thing. We at least are better off than Tau because we can be active in so many phases of combat.
Yep.
Being able to fight in melee, not quote quote fight. It depends on what you bring.
Yeah. Yep. Line breakers also pretty easy for us. Like all of a sudden being able to give your unit fly with a spell and a command ability,
Mm.
which is pretty worthless in Age of Sigmar, makes line breaker like that 4 extra victory points that much more achievable.
Yep.
Like fly some pterodons, they don't have the aircraft keyword. They move fast, 16 inches, lords of space and time something, give 2 units fly, and you've got line breaker free 4 victory points.
Yeah, that actually does make our flyers better because they all get -1 to hit, and
Yeah,
they don't have the limitations most aircraft do, like
yeah,
with movement.
and having a unique method for generating command points as an army in a game that's all about timing your command point spendings
Yeah, we
is
start off
huge.
with none, which is really really weird in 40k.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest, but we generate like up to 3 times as many over the game,
yep, yep,
which is great. We still need CP just as badly here as we do normally.
yeah. Well, and it makes the way you build detachments that much more important.
Right.
Like you want to be maximizing the number of Starseers, priests, land that you can get in for that CP generation.
Hmm.
Um, and
It.
having more to spend them on now, like just straight re-roll a to hit, re-roll a wound.
Hmm.
That makes the CP that much more valuable.
Yep. And you're always gonna want to challenge at the beginning of the game. We can't in
Yep,
AOS, but in this one we have the CP to burn most of the time. We don't
yep.
mind, and going first is going to be so important for us.
Yeah, and like being able to control tempo, like the game's no longer back and forth, so getting to go first is that much more of a priority.
And we have the option to do so. We still
Yeah,
might be infinite amount of drops, but one dice roll and you could be at a significant advantage.
yep. Oh, yeah, so always try and siege the initiative. Like there's no reason not to.
Yep. Let's see. Chameleon skinks, especially because, as we said, cover is so important in this game.
Uh-huh.
The fact that they also gain great benefits from cover. These guys are going to be like little devils popping in everywhere, and
Yeah,
just the 3-up save is great. Like we don't have a whole lot of AP, so their mortal wounds on sixes are going to be particularly useful. I still like the idea of all these skinks just firing blowpipe darts at space marines and them keeling over because poison.
yeah. Well, like Fangs of Sotek particularly becomes amazing in 40K.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to do that fallback on charge, like spend the CP, you get an Overwatch for free, and you have the chance to retreat afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that's massive. And the +3 inches and getting those like prayers off to be able to advance and still shoot. Um,
That's right.
like
We don't suffer the normal Overwatch rules.
yeah,
Means we don't get it in most sub factions, but we also don't hit on what it's sixes now, isn't it?
yeah, sixes. Yep, we're just we keep our regular rule. Um, So it's huge. Like we can't do standard Overwatch where you bring Fangs of Sotek and now all of a sudden you get Overwatch on a command point and it hits as normal and on a 4 up you get to retreat afterwards.
Yep. And all the poison damage still does poison damage.
Yep.
As our little skinks cackle away.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
like those mortal wounds just keep sticking it to them. You'll pop down Primaris and Eradicators, like anything that wants to try and get in. Like it's particularly good against Blood Angels,
mm-hmm.
who want to get into combat and stay in combat, like being able to retreat out of it
Blood Angels, Space
on a 50%
Wolves,
chance. Yep.
uh, good chunk of Chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. All those guys are relying on getting into combat so they can't be shot at. And we've got a 50% chance to get away from them.
Mm-hmm. And you can just keep using it in additional turns, provided you survive. And we
Yep.
won't.
And
We're
you have the
incredibly
CP.
fragile, just like always.
Yep.
But let's see, what do we have to keep watch out for? Like IG tanks are going to be a problem because they do so well at mowing down infantry.
Yep. The
Uh,
sisters, it's just way to fire. Um, like if it's the Repentia spam, just shake your opponent's hand. Like there's not a lot we can do against that.
yeah, same with like orcs. They
Yep.
they generally have a problem getting past toughness, but our skinks don't have it, so they're just gonna melt under fire.
Yep. Yeah, and we don't have the mortal wound output to deal with their weight of bodies.
Yeah, they orcs are ridiculous.
Although,
So
ironically, we are pretty good against their vehicle spam list. Um,
yeah, because they
yeah.
rely so heavily on their native saves instead of invulnerables.
Yep. Exactly. So speed freaks, like the speed freaks build, we shred it. It's kind of embarrassing, like that we can do
Mm-hmm.
that to a top tier army.
Yep. Yeah, we struggle against Necrons because we don't quite have the weight of numbers to kill stuff, and
Yeah, their
they get their
recall.
warriors back so easily now.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have the way to pick off heroes. Like at least in Age of Sigmar with OBR, you can pick off the heroes and stop the respawning. With Necron, like they have to make some pretty serious misplays for us to be able to pick them off.
Yep. So you have to be careful of choosing your battles. We do have a pretty solid matchup against the reigning champions that are Space Marines
Yep.
because we ignore all the good stuff they do and do okay against the bad stuff and can capitalize on the bad stuff.
Well, and one of our biggest advantages that we completely forgot to hit on is our ability to bring bound endless spells. Like bringing endless spells into the 41st millennium. Like they still count as a model, so they still block line of sight.
Oh
So
yeah,
like bringing in
you
the
don't even have to
jaw
bring up
spell.
Palisade.
Yep, exactly. Bringing in purple sun and just straight up removing models. Um,
Oh, that's right, our Horde Breaker. I keep
yeah,
forgetting
yep,
that. It's not as effective in this because everything's small squad based, but things like conscripts and tyrannids are just going to melt under that because
yep,
there aren't many spells in the game that can do that much mortal wound output.
yep,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, so I like where we are in 40K. I I wasn't expecting GW to keep supporting us, especially after we stopped being demons and they so heavily changed our fluff. But it's actually a lot of fun, and it's
and it,
not.
like
Mhm.
it makes sense.
Yeah, in general, I like being able to play on two separate days at my local game store. I There was a lot of things keeping me from getting into 40K. It has the same. We suffer from the Xenos curse. They don't support us there either.
Yeah, that's true. You know what I I just sold off the last 40k army that I had. And like I said, I have my demons that I could technically use, which chaos demons aren't bad at 40k in the moment.
No.
But I like this. This is what's got me back into 40k. Like I probably was going to play ninth edition, if I'm being honest. But like letting my lizards play like that, that's got me on board. I'm excited.
Mm. Yeah, you still aren't going to bring our terrain though. It's actually worse now.
Yo, yeah, it's way worse having to pay points for it. Yeah, that's horrible.
Yep, and not only that, but giving it away in AOS is most of the time doesn't matter, but in 40k, giving away bunkerable terrain is horrid.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's so bad.
especially when you paid points for it. Like if it's free and your opponent gets it, you're like, it was 50-50. But having to pay points for it and your opponent get it, that's just salt and vinegar in the
Yeah.
wound.
If you get it, it's great because everything wants to take cover, but it's a big if. But
Yep.
Coalesce does great because their rules actually matter in 40k instead of
Yeah.
AOS, which actually makes me wonder if that's why they wrote them that way. If they wanted Coalesce to be the 40k army,
That could be, yeah. They might have been planning for
despite the fact that Starborns are the ones with spaceships.
that.
Oh man,
I'm just waiting to find out that like we're the driving force behind the Tyranids. Like they're just other coalesced Seraphon.
just they've
When
been around for a very very long time.
exactly like whenever we get the new campaign book, like this, the Rust War just came out. Like whenever the Star War comes out, I'm totally expecting that to be
At least hinted
confirmed.
at.
Yeah, yeah, if not outright confirmed.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. I've seen like rumors online of Saurus in power armor, so they might be looking to rework guard.
Yep. When Zotes slotted in perfectly.
Yeah,
Like I would love to get Zotes and Sigmar now. Hopefully they redesigned the kit so that it can have like armor on it instead of hoses.
yeah. Although, yeah, no, no. I keep forgetting that dark elves aren't a thing in AOS yet, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Although the not the Exocrine, the Exodite. Like I'm interested to see if Seraphon's gonna end up playing in with them at all. The dinosaur riding Eldar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because man, they just came out with something like that in Age of Sigmar. They might be looking to. Well, no, it's Eldar. They're never going to give them models.
With the hey, they got models in 1998.
Well,
Slow down. They don't need.
they actually did get models fairly recently, banshees, but 2/3 of their army are still from the '90s. It's so
Yeah.
sad. As bad as I feel for Seraphon, Eldar have it worse.
Yep. They do.
Yeah,
And they can only play in one game.
fair enough. Let's see. Are we forgetting anything?
I think that's the major highlights. Like normally list building is around your secondaries, but pretty much the only secondaries we have access to, like it's kind of auto built for us. Like you
Right.
got to bring those chameleon skinks. You got to bring some Ripperdactyls, which do much better in 40k.
Yeah, specifically
Um,
because they're actually really hard to kill,
yeah, yeah.
and they
Um,
can block melee guys. Yeah, so a lot of very useful stuff for us here.
yeah, getting that extra wound, like being 3 wounds in a game that's all about 2 damage weapons. Uh, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and let's see. We're definitely going to have to touch on individual armies in the future, but this is mostly just an overview for now.
Yeah. I would
Yeah,
have liked to see a bit more like tailored stratagems to deal with magic. Um,
I
but
think.
having the old one tech, I think, is more fitting for 40k.
Yep, and to be honest, we are already fairly decent in the psychic phase without it.
Yeah, and this is a command phase army for sure.
Oh yeah, no question. Although that is actually good for us because we can pop all our buffs in the command phase instead of the fighting phase.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, we're still waiting on our battle tome for all the stratagems we don't have yet. But even without it, we're not the worst. Solid,
Yeah, yeah,
solid B, solid C B tier, bottom of B, top of C.
yeah, somewhere in there. Like definitely better than the books that have been lagging, but not up there with like sisters or even just standard
Well, they just
standard
came out
books.
with Sisters. If they weren't good off the bat, they'd have problems.
That's fair. Yeah.
People have
Like
been wanting
we
them for
didn't even
so
know we were
long.
waiting for a book, and they had been waiting for years.
Like, so long. Like, it was 12 years, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
Ugh.
Absurd amount of time.
It makes me feel petty for being so mad that our book, The Age of Sigmar, took so long. Alrighty. So that's how we. So, if that's about it, the stars are calling me home. It's
All
always
right. Have a good
great
night.
talking with you, Lizard Wizard.
Yeah. See you around.
But you all have a good night.